I have realized that most parents don't even think about, am I disciplining my child or am I punishing them? Because for so long, we've been taught really that they are both the same. They're one and the same, right? They're the same thing. Discipline, punishment. Basically, when your kid is doing the wrong thing, you have to give them a consequence, right? Because otherwise, how will they learn? Oh, we've heard that so many times. I think you guys know that there's a little bit of a difference there, especially if you've listened to the podcast or watched some of my YouTube videos. You will probably know that I talk a little bit about this. And I wanted to come back to it today because, as I said, we've been taught for so long that they're basically the same thing. Consequences, timeouts, yelling, lectures, removal of privileges, taking belongings, like it's all kind of part of parenting, right? Well, actually wrong. Here's the thing, that discipline and punishment are not the same thing, and in fact, they are worlds apart. Understanding the difference between disciplining your child and just punishing them could be actually one of the most powerful shifts that you ever make as a parent. I know it was for me and my husband. We were both like, I read the research on it, and I read some articles, and I read some blogs and information and books and everything, and I was like, oh my God, there's a huge difference. Like, didn't realize. I said, babe, did you know this is it? And so we went through it, and I remember we were in the car on the way to the city. We were going through the Harbour Bridge in Sydney, and I remember because it was such a cool conversation, and he was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Like, it's a whole lot clearer now. And now we know what we're doing when our kids aren't meeting our expectations, aren't doing what they've been asked, or they keep doing that thing we ask them not to. Like, now we actually know what we're doing, and it feels good and it feels right, and it actually is beneficial. Like, it's helping our kids. So anyway, today I thought, you know what, I'm going to break it down on the podcast and on YouTube. I'm going to do a video about it. I want to talk to you about teaching. Discipline is about teaching and building our child's emotional intelligence and our ability to make good decisions in the future when we're not around, or even in the present day when we're not around at school or out and about with friends. Whereas punishment often just leads to shame, fear, disconnection, more anger, more dysregulation, and so on. So, I think the main thing that we want as parents, I can maybe speak on behalf of most of us, is that we want our kids to be able to make good, healthy choices, live a fulfilling life, be kind to the people around them. And that's what we want to do when, in these little micro moments, day to day, when our kids are like hitting each other or not sharing the remote, or they refuse to do the assignment at school, or, I don't know, they're not eating their peas. I don't know. Like, this is what it comes down to, right? We have to use these micro moments to help teach them. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this episode. It was really a really great one to record. It's not long. I think it's about 20 something minutes, so I kept it short. And obviously, just before we begin, I want to acknowledge the Darug Nation, because they are the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work and record this podcast and these YouTube videos. I want to pay my respects to all First Nations people, their elders and their ancestors, and I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, and I stand in solidarity towards a shared future. Okay, I think that's it. We are good to go. Let's just dive straight in. Enjoy. Let's talk about discipline and punishment and consequences in terms of parenting, because I think this is something that is often very confusing for parents. Sometimes we think we are disciplining or teaching our kids, but a lot of the time we might actually be using punishments and probably consequences that actually don't really work, or they don't serve a greater purpose in terms of like teaching our kids what to do or what not to do next time that problem arises, next time they're arguing with a sibling or something. I know for me and my husband and our kids, we didn't really get the difference between discipline and punishment. I think we thought it was the same thing. I think a lot of people do. And it might sound, here's the thing, it might sound like we are, splitting hairs, and we're kind of making something out of nothing. But when you think about it, and when I realized the big differences between disciplining a child and punishing them, it was like a turning point in our home and in our parenting. Things became a lot easier. I had a lot more kind of confidence and conviction in like my parenting, from the get-go. And also my husband said, he was like, wow, this makes so much sense. Like, how did we not know about this? And why weren't we doing it before? And now it's easier to know what to do and what not to do when our kids are, doing the wrong thing or something they shouldn't, hurting each other, or, being selfish or not doing what we've asked, stuff like that. So let's go through just, in a brief, this is not going to be a super long video or episode or anything. It's just going to be, let's kind of nut out, I think, the differences between discipline and punishment, because then I promise you're going to start thinking about your own kids and about the way you deal with problems that come up. And even just, I think sometimes planting the seed is like a really, that's like the first step. So I've had parents that I coach that when we talk about this, they're like, that makes me think about like all the times that I have struggled to deal with my kids when they're not listening or they're not doing the right thing and so on. And they're like, now I get why those things that I used to do most of the time weren't really working. And now what I can do instead. Sometimes we're like, I don't know what to do. Like if I'm not yelling and I've not taken something off them like the iPad, what am I supposed to do? So anyway, this helps. I think this really helps for that. Let me just flick this little spider off my laptop. Okay. So discipline, let's go like from the sky, let's zoom out, right? And then let's go a little bit deeper and deeper. Discipline is about teaching. So we are teaching, I hate the concept of teaching a lesson. We're teaching skills and we're teaching our kids and guiding them. Punishment is just about controlling. Also, it's about compliance or obedience, right? Compliance or obedience. So I often think of punishment as controlling and making a child suffer, or it could be a person, but we're talking in the parenting realm, right? Discipline is teaching. Punishment is making them suffer because they've done something wrong, right? You're not happy about it. You want them not to do that thing. So like I also say when I talk on conferences. I have run my own parenting conferences with lots of experts. Like when I talk about this at those levels and in my little one-to-one coaching with parenting, I get parents to think about, what do you want your child to learn? Like when they're doing the wrong thing and they're not doing what you've asked, like what actual bigger outcome do you want? Basically, it comes down to, we want our child to be able to make good decisions in the moment when they are faced with a problem, or their sibling who isn't listening, or a friend who has just taken something and won't give it back, that kind of stuff, right? So we want our kids to actually learn what to do and what not to do. We want to kind of impart that, I want to say like wisdom, but like the kind of making of good choices. You know, we're not always going to be around, and we don't always want to be around our kids. Like later in life, we're going to have to pass the baton on, basically. So that's why I love the concept of teaching is the same as, discipline is like teaching, but punishment is just making them suffer, or it's controlling them. Also, something that I say, no matter where I'm talking about this, I say discipline comes from the word, I think it's a Latin word, disciplina. You're going to have to, I haven't looked at that for a long time, but I remember when I first read up, I was like, this is interesting. I think Latin, and it means to teach, right? If you think about at university, my discipline was speech pathology. I was a speech pathologist before I moved into emotional intelligence, right? So that was my discipline. That was what I was learning. And if you think about in like biblical terms, Jesus's disciples, not that I'm super religious or anything, but Jesus's disciples, or a person's disciples, are learners. They are students. I'm hoping I'm getting that right. You guys know what I mean, right? I don't want to harp on about it, but that's what I mean. So discipline, yes, is I want to teach my kids. That's the right thing to do. If you think about it, disciples learned because they loved and admired the person and respected the person that they were learning from, right? So let's put all that aside because I didn't want to go that deep, but I just did. Second thing is that discipline focuses on future behavior, getting kids to make good choices, right? Helping kids to learn and grow. Punishment really kind of just focuses on the present moment, that most of the time, to be honest, we're triggered. It's a knee-jerk reaction. We use a punishment or a consequence that is often bigger than the transgression. I want to say, like, if you've ever heard, or maybe as a kid, you know, if you didn't eat your peas or something, right? No TV for a week, something ridiculous like that. That often uses kind of shame or fear, right? Fear-based parenting. Like, I'm up here and I'm going to make the choices. You're down here and you just got to lie with it, kind of thing. Like, it's very controlling. Most of the time, kids who are punished are sitting in the anger and the frustration or the hurt, like that feeling of like you haven't heard me. Like that whole concept of feeling not seen, not heard, not understood. You're just angry and you've thrown out this, like you've told me that I can't have this thing for a week, or now I won't get dessert after dinner, or whatever it is, right? I can't go out after to that party, right? So most of the time, punishment makes kids feel worse. it makes them feel mad and angry, and like you don't get it, and you didn't know that she started it, or this is the most important party of the year. Like, I'm not saying that we just go, okay, you can go, or okay, you don't have to eat your peas, but that's what I'm saying. Punishment pushes kids into this fight or flight state, right? It activates their nervous system. So that's because of the shame and the fear and the sense of it's not fair. With my kids, I am so, like, because I've been learning this and talking about it, and I've written a book about it, and I have a podcast, and a YouTube, like, this is the stuff I live and breathe. So it does, like, it's taken me years, and I still make mistakes, but I'm much better at now when my kids don't do what they're expected, or they don't meet the expectation or whatever. First, I'm looking for, like, what is getting in the way? Like, why are you not doing that thing I've asked? Or have I not been clear enough? Or have you not had, like, what's under your iceberg? Have you had a lack of sleep? We've just been on a 1 hour drive. Like, that's actually happened today. You're hungry, and so your blood sugar's low, and you've been arguing, or there's something happened earlier in the day, like all this iceberg stuff. That's what I look at before I actually go to, like, discipline my kids, right? Coming back to discipline versus punishment, discipline involves connection, right? Because we're connected with our kids, and we're not shaming or putting fear into them. We're going, hey, that's not okay, or you didn't do that thing, or you've done the wrong thing. Let me connect with you. Let me tell you. Basically, it's guidance and teaching that understanding. It's like, let me tell you why we need to brush our teeth. Let me tell you what happens if you don't brush your teeth. And yes, you're going to be saying this probably like 1,000 times when your child is 2 or 5 or whatever. But it's that connection, it's that guidance. It's like, hey, if you don't, this actually happened. This was months ago, maybe even a year ago, because I tell this story when I do webinars and conferences. One of our kids was not sharing, it was a balloon. They weren't sharing this balloon that they had blown up and tied up with their sibling. And I had to talk to her, and I said, honey, I get that you don't want to share it. Like, you've blown it up and you don't want to play with your brother. And I said, that's okay, because it's yours, but just think about, so this was almost like not even disciplining. I think they were arguing over it, but like, discipline is teaching, remember? So I said to her, I just want you to think about when we don't share, or we're not like flexible, it kind of makes the other person feel, mad and upset and left out and angry. And then it kind of makes them not want to share things with us as well. So, and this is a true story, your brother's scooter, it was like new. I think he got it for his birthday. I said, he's been letting you ride it up and down the driveway and everything because it's shiny and new and it has the white light wheels. Anyway, and I said, if you don't share the balloon with him, just consider, like, do you think he's going to be more or less likely to let you use his scooter when you next ask for it, like this afternoon? And she said, like, she wasn't happy about it, because kids aren't like, oh, wonderful, here you go, like, here's the balloon. She was like, less likely. So she was cranky about it, but she got what I was saying because I was connected. I wasn't yelling at her saying, you're so selfish, why aren't you sharing the balloon? Like, he lets you use his scooter all the time, like, I can't believe it, he's your brother and he's so loving to you. Like, I didn't do that. I didn't shame, and I didn't put the fear in and say, well, if you're not going to share it, then no one gets it, blah, blah, blah. That could, like I said, that puts kids into fight or flight. But what I did do was just point out, it wasn't to manipulate. This is the careful thing, because I know people might comment on this if you're watching on YouTube, or if I put this on a podcast sometime, people might think, oh, but you're kind of manipulating her by being like, well, if you don't share, then he's not going to share your scooter. He's not going to share his scooter. So that's manipulative. And I get that is a possibility, and that is where parents can go too far. We can manipulate our kids, like with brushing teeth or whatever. We're like, well, if you're not going to brush your teeth tonight, then I guess you're not getting any lollies this week because that candy is going to rot your teeth. Like, that's manipulative. Like, you can it's nuanced, but you can kind of see the difference, right? So I said to her, yeah. And then she decided that time to share the balloon, and like, she got what I was saying, because like I said, I was connected with her and I was teaching her, and it made sense. So this is the other thing. Discipline makes sense. It's related. Like, whatever even if you use a consequence, right? Even if you say, look, I want to use like a really in your face, an obvious example. If a little child is poking a PowerPoint with a fork and being like, oh, what happens when like, you're going to take it off him and be like, sorry, you can't play with that. Like, that's a consequence. If you're doing something dangerous, I'm going to take that item off you, and, we'll pull the forks out when it's, I don't know, dinner time, right? So sometimes and if kids are kicking a ball inside and they're going to hit a window, well, we take the ball away, or we say you have to play outside. Like, they're logical consequences, right? They make sense, but yes, we are imposing, we're coming in and imposing a consequence, and that's what it is, right? So we're that day with a balloon, and I want to say 99% of the time, I'm human, but we have relevant consequences, and we discipline our kids, and it makes sense, and it's logical, and it's fair, and it's respectful. On the other side, On the other side of that is punishment, where usually it's, I said, it's shame, it's fear, it's controlling, it's not relevant. Like, I think growing up, I probably, if I was hurtful to my brother or something, or didn't eat my dinner, I probably didn't get TV, or I got, time out in my bedroom, or smacked or something. Like those consequences are not relevant. Like, how is it relevant if a child, let's say, won't do their homework, to say, okay, you're not watching TV tonight, for example, right? Again, I get that there is nuance, and if you think, okay, this homework must be due tomorrow because it's an assignment or something, and if you're not going to do it now, well, then after dinner you do need to catch it up, so you're not going to be able to watch our show with us. I think that's a logical consequence. You can see how it's nuanced. I'm almost like contradicting myself. I totally get that. But if you just are pulling out, you've hurt your brother, or you're not doing your homework, or you're not eating your peas, or you've just damaged something by bouncing the ball in your house, no TV tonight. Like, don't just go to this like punishment. It's a punishment. It's not a consequence, right? They're not learning anything. They're learning, like, when I don't do that thing, or if homework's really hard and I don't get it and I don't want to start it, or if my brother was really mean to me and he's hidden my favorite thing and I'm trying to get him back, then I'm not going to get TV. Like, how is that teaching a child about why, like, the importance of doing homework? I'm actually not for homework. I shouldn't use that example. Silly. Or hurting my brother and hurting him physically, or hurting him with words. That's not related to getting no TV later, right? So that's, I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to go too deep in. This is just kind of a bit of a quick overview. It's getting you thinking, right? Am I disciplining my kid or am I punishing them? And to what end? Like, I'm actually teaching them about, like, later when I'm not around, if they're at their friend's house, or they are out at the shopping center with their friends, or if they're at a sleepover or whatever, like, when I'm not around, are they going to know why they don't do certain things, and why they do have to do certain things, right? So that's what we want. We don't want to just, like, constantly come in like a policeman or a referee kind of thing and call the shots and be like, if you don't do this, then you're getting that. Like, we actually need to impart the reasoning behind why we make good choices, why we brush our teeth, why we have a shower every day, or I don't know, you know what I mean? Why we use kind words, and why we don't take people's things without asking, all of that kind of stuff. Okay. A couple more things. Discipline, it encourages and it models problem solving and accountability, right? But punishment usually leads to almost like a secrecy and a hiding. Like, if you get punished for doing something, man, you don't want that outcome again. You don't want to not have your phone for a week again, or whatever. If you're a teenager, you're going to hide when you make mistakes or mess up, or you've done something hurtful. You're not going to own it. You're not going to say, hey, I made a mistake, or hey, I shouldn't call you that name, or hey, I didn't do my assignment. I'm going to change homework to assignment. That discipline, on the other hand, like, that's where we problem solve. Why haven't you done that thing that you said you were going to do? I don't know, assignment, or stack the dishwasher, or whatever it is. Or why did you do that thing that you know isn't right? Well, my brother has been taking my markers without asking, and he's doing it every night. And then I'm finding ones that are like run out or something. I don't know. But, like, problem solving is like, okay, that thing has happened. You're upset about it, or you should have done it, or you're mad, or whatever. What can we do now? What's a good outcome? What's a bad outcome? Like, what are our options? Right? So in other situations with my kids, I've been like, okay, I'm trying to think of an example really quick. You haven't done your assignment. Let's just use that one. My kids are young, so they don't really get many assignments. But let's say that happened. It would be like, okay, what are our options? Firstly, what's getting in the way, right? I'm referring to, like, Dr. Ross Green's work. What is getting in the way? I noticed that you haven't done your homework or your assignment. What's hard about it? What's getting in the way? What has stopped you from being able to do it? Do you know when it's due? I don't know when it's due. Or it's too hard. I don't know. I haven't picked a topic yet. Or I don't know where to start. This is confusing. Or I can't read the sheet. There's too many. I look at my kids, my oldest assignment sheet, and I'm like, whoa, this is an overload of text. Like, there's no images and the formatting is awful. I'm like, who designs these assignments? Like, anyway, that's the speech pathologist in me coming out. Anyway, so it helps problem solving because we're like, okay, look at, like, what are our options now? Do you want me to help you get started? Do you want me to like set you up on a desk with everything and like go through and structure it and then, kind of organize and plan and then get you off going? Or like, what should we do? Do you want to go to the library together? Quiet space. I'll read a book and you do your assignment, whatever. So problem solving that's teaching kids, like, when you have something difficult, here are some options, here are some solutions, some ways that you can solve it. And that goes with friendships or home chores or whatever, right? Maybe the last couple of things is that discipline strengthens the parent-child relationship because you're coming together with them, you're connecting, you're being fair, you're not shouting, shaming, yelling, taking something off them. That's what we usually tend to do, right? We take something off them. We're being respectful and we're communicating, hey, I get this is hard, or hey, I understand that you were mad at her for doing that. I get it. Because I'm going to say all of the time, we have been there. You've been a kid once. You might not have had that specific problem with your sister. Maybe you didn't have a sister and, you're an only child, whatever it is. But you've been there where something's upset you. Something's been really hard. You haven't wanted to do something, but yet you have had to, you've been stuck and then you've had to kind of find a way through, right? Or you've done the wrong thing. You've called someone a name, or you've, left someone out, or you've been selfish, or you've, so many things. I always think, you know what? I have done this. I have been in that situation. Maybe not the exact same, but I feel you. And that validation is huge. So it strengthens the parent-child relationship because they don't feel alone and they feel like you get it and you're helping them. Punishment actually usually damages trust. It damages the relationship and the emotional safety as well. Okay. It makes kids feel like, don't tell mom or don't tell dad, they're going to go bananas. They're going to go off their rocker. They're going to punish me. I'll be grounded. I won't have my phone free. You name it. That's what kids are feeling. That's what I felt, I'd be like, don't tell mom. And that whole, I don't know if you guys have all seen it online and there's quotes about it and stuff. I want my kids to come to me when they mess up as teenagers or as adults, right? They've done, let's say they, I don't know, God forbid, they cheat on their wife or husband or something, and they're in this hole and everything is going wrong. I want them to be like, let's go to mum and dad. I'm getting teary thinking about it. I want them to be like, oh my God, I messed up so bad. Or why did I do that? Or I've fallen in this hole I shouldn't have, and I said yes and I should have said no, or whatever it is, I can come to mum and dad. There is someone who's emotionally safe who's going to be like, hey, you know what? I've probably been there and I can help you through it. Let's find some solutions. You are safe with me. Imagine that feeling. Maybe your partner gives that feeling to you now. You are safe with me. You can let it out with me. I will help you. We're in this together. Oh my God. That's just I feel like oasis. That's liberating, right? So it strengthens the connection. It's going to make your kids more likely to come to you when they mess up. I have down here, let me lift this up. Ready? I did a podcast episode on this already. It's somewhere. This is a picture I painted of our puppy, who actually next month, it's been 2 years since we lost her. She's not a puppy. She wasn't a puppy, sorry. Our dog. And can you see there's lines? There's these lines up the top. That's ink because it wasn't hung up. It was on the floor next to where the kids' table was, and they were coloring in and stuff. And one of the gel pens burst when my daughter was, I think, shaking it or trying to bang it to get it to draw. And then it exploded on her, but also on this beautiful painting. And she came and told me. She goes, Mom, I have something to show you. She was upset. She was, disappointed and maybe a bit afraid just because she doesn't want to let me down and disappoint me. And she showed me. And I'm like, wow, as some other kid maybe, or at another time, she might have hid that. But we're encouraging and we're allowing our kids to mess up, make mistakes, and then we discipline them. We never ever punish them. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. I would love to hear what you guys think. If you're watching on YouTube, please put a comment down below. Does that make sense? The difference between discipline and punishment. Do you tend to punish or do you tend to discipline? Or maybe are you going to make the commitment to move into more discipline now? Fair, respectful, emotionally intelligent discipline. Okay, thank you for tuning in. I felt like I went on a bit of a rant towards the end there, but I think I covered everything sort of generally. I might do another video and another podcast episode soon, a little bit more in depth on discipline versus punishment and lots more examples. If you guys want that, well, just let me know. But the last thing I want to say is please share this. I would absolutely love to grow my YouTube channel and grow my podcast so that I can reach more parents and more educators and more therapists and people who are listening or watching. So please share it around if you have 2 seconds. That would be awesome. And if you don't have a look at some of the show notes underneath, you can get in touch with me on my website, which is stephaniepinto.com. So very easy to remember. That's just my name. You can find me on Instagram as well. I'm at emotionally.intelligent.parent. And I have courses, short courses and longer courses, like self-paced ones on my website too. So, and most of the time, one or a couple are, on discount or on sale. And we like to sort of give away things like that, resources and courses and stuff to support you. So please go check them out. If you just go on my website, you'll see there's like a courses section, there's resources, you'll find about my book as well. So you can get that on Amazon, all the good places. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for being here because it means a lot. And you do not know the impact you're having on your kids and then your kids' kids and then your kids' kids' kids. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Have a great rest of your week and I'll see you soon on the next episode or video.